Hello YouTube, we are back with the second video of the day to close out the content for the night before we go on stream, probably in like a half an hour or so. But we are here with Dexter, we are here with the 9th episode of Season 8, winding, again, like I say in every video for Season 8, kind of winding down the original series before we get into the spinoff. And yeah, this episode was pretty good, some revelations, kind of building up to what's going to be the last 3 episodes. But Dexter and Hannah are at a hotel lying together in bed. Obviously Hannah has to stay low given she's kind of a fugitive. She escaped from jail. They're still looking for her, obviously. In a search for clues, Dexter and Evelyn Vogel break into Zach's photo studio. They're trying to find out where where he went. Like, who killed him? Like, did someone go to his studio? You find stuff on the scene, like some hair and shit, and yeah. Before they leave, Dexter tells Evelyn that he's planning to make a life with Hannah, which surprises her. She's like, really? Are you going to make a life with anyone? I mean, you're kind of fucking psychotic. So yeah. Deputy Marshal Max Clayton meets with Jacob Elway about Hannah McKay. Obviously he wants to get this money, that the marshals are putting out. Like, if they catch her, they get some money. Elway gets some money for, like, hiring them to do the job and shit. And, yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing, but he starts the chase for Hannah McKay. So now Dexter and Hannah have other things to worry about besides, Deborah and people of that nature. Angel approaches Deborah outside the police station and asks her to return to Miami Metro. Now, we saw in last episode she was kind of, like, thinking about it. And that would be a really interesting storyline to kind of end the show to possibly catch one of the last big killers. It'll be interesting to see how the show ends for sure. So yeah. Deborah heads to see Dexter, who is testing the evidence he found in Zach's studio. Nikki tries to stop her, and there's kind of like a funny confrontation because Deborah gives no fucks who you are if you're new or whatever. She's like, get the fuck out of my way. Deborah hands Zach's file to Dexter and asks if he was in the keys with Zach and Hannah for a serial killer convention. Hell, they may as well have been. She's kind of questioning her brother, who she knows is a serial killer. Obviously a very fucked up situation for her. Zach is dead. She doesn't expect that. And yeah. So to Dexter's surprise, the hair sample reveals a familiar match to Evelyn Vogel. And this kind of happens on accident, really. I mean, he didn't think that was going to be the case, but he was kind of sitting there waiting for it to load. And you see like a familial match, and it's to Vogel. And that's probably why this guy has been attacking her, because he's like a relative, and they talk about her son. They kind of get together and all that stuff. Back at work, Dexter ages a picture of Daniel as a child to look like a man in his mid-40s to kind of manipulate it to see if this is actually what he would have looked like, or see who he actually looked like. And Dexter puts the pieces together, and obviously this seems like a very unlikely thing, but Dexter's smart. When Deborah does it, you're kind of like, what the fuck? Like, you're not that smart. Surely you're a good cop, and surely you've learned over time. You're not that good of a cop. So yeah, there's a 97.6% facial match, which means her son is the brain surgeon and the guy that's been with Cassie all this time. So that's kind of crazy. Angel pops into Dexter's office with Max Clayton to inform him that Angel may be in Miami and he could be a target, because she might want to get revenge, on a past lover, and they're just letting him know that. They want to put unis at his house, all this stuff, which kind of sucks for Dexter because he's a serial killer. And yeah. So at lunch, Quinn tells Deborah that her tip was right. Zach was in the keys at the time Cassie was murdered, so he wasn't the one that did it. And she said that it could possibly be the boyfriend before, and she was right. And it's fucking crazy how Deborah kind of comes up with these sorts of things, and that's like a big critique on the show for some people. There's a lot of plot convenience in terms of Deborah's character. Dexter drives Hannah to Arlene's house, a nice place that Hannah is paying for. Don't you think that's a little suspicious? I mean, yeah, this girl wants a better lifestyle, but why the hell would you move her into that place? That's like in Breaking Bad, if Walter White moved into a damn mansion. Someone would know something's up, you know what I mean? So, Clayton, the marshal comes up, they have the confrontation, yada, yada, yada. So while Jamie is working as a nanny at Dexter's apartment, Deborah shows up under the pretense of seeing Harrison, and eventually she starts asking kind of subtle questions about Cassie. Obviously, something that Jamie doesn't want to talk about, because she kind of warms up to Deborah, because Deborah's a pretty likable girl in some regard, and she's Dexter's sister, who Jamie's grown to obviously like, not romantically, but yeah. So outside Arlene's house, Dexter and Hannah discuss what to do now that Clayton is on her trail. They have so many fucking things in their way. Deborah can come after them at any second. Clayton can come at them at any second. They need to find a backup plan. And they think that they can just go to Deborah's beach house, the girl that is trying to chase after her and get her for Elway, and lay low. And Dexter's going to try to talk her into it. Hannah's like, oh, okay. So Deborah and Quinn interview Saxon in his apartment about Cassie's murder. They're trying to get everything out of him. They're doing kind of their own private investigation, which Elway's kind of doing that, but it's not for Elway. Kind of does stuff like that, but that didn't go through with Jacob Elway. So Deborah's kind of doing her own thing as well. He kind of reveals some lying stuff, and Deborah has this crazy interrogation voice she does. It's fucking awesome, but yeah. So as they walk to the car, Deborah tells Quinn that Saxon was lying and reveals that Jamie had told her. Quinn kisses her out of nowhere. There's this weird confrontation, and yeah, she knows Saxon is lying because of what Jamie told her. Deborah arrives home and is shocked to find Dexter and Hannah inside waiting for her. She's like, what the fuck are you doing here? I was pretty much trying to catch you not too long ago. So yeah, Dexter talks to her, tries to get her to have Hannah stay in her house, and she kind of gives in a little too easily. I don't think that's very characteristic of Deborah's character, and that is definitely a flaw that they pull off there. Time is of the essence, so Dexter goes to Saxon's apartment, but it's vacant. He needs to find this guy and kill him so he doesn't cause any more problems. And obviously, Saxon caught wind of this because, Dexter and them were questioning him, or Deborah and Quinn were questioning him, and Dexter's like, well, fuck, now he's frightened. Now he's panicked. That's why you don't do shit like that. You have to lay low on suspects sometimes. So, yeah. Soda can in the trash can, compares the DNA, blah, blah, blah. So, as Dexter makes pancakes, Harrison asks Dexter about Hannah. Obviously, Hannah is a girl that he really liked in Dexter's life, and he wanted her to kind of be a mother figure for him. And she kind of is in a way. So, Saxon is Vogel's son. We get confirmation of that, blah, blah, blah. Dexter takes a photo of Daniel to Evelyn to show her, does he look familiar? All this stuff. They kind of have a bit of a conversation. His name's Oliver Saxon, and yeah. Evelyn remembers taking Daniel every Saturday morning to Kings Bay Cafe, where he always played make your own kind of music on the jukebox, and that was what was playing when Evelyn was getting kidnapped, when people got killed, all this stuff. The song is like an invitation. He wants his mother to come back into his life, and they plan on meeting him at the cafe and possibly framing him, or killing him in Dexter's case. So at Deborah's beach house, Dexter and Hannah discuss why he's deceiving Evelyn. She's not going to want her son to be killed. And, Evelyn kind of gets this hint when she realizes Daniel's her Oliver's her son. Are you going to kill this guy? You better not. He's my son, I still love him to an extent. But to keep Hannah alive, to keep Vogel alive even, he needs to kill Saxon. Hannah tells Dexter there's no life for her in Florida and suggests that they and Harrison make a new life in Argentina. Obviously, she's been on the run too long. She's been stressed. She doesn't want to deal with it anymore, running away from her problems. So let's go to Argentina. And he wants to do it. He wants to give a notice to Miami Metro and get the fuck out, which I think is probably what's going to happen to end the show. But, yeah. Deputy Chief Matthews asks Angel if he's heard anything on the whereabouts of Zach. And, Angel's like, no, I told him to back off. Remember, that's your orders. And all this stuff. So Angel's request, Deborah meets with him in his office. They need to talk. They need to try to get her back in the department. She was such a valuable member. And now that she's gone, things have kind of gone a little haywire for the department. Not in a huge way, but it's definitely noticeable that she's gone. So they talk. Deborah needs to think about it. On Deborah's way out, Quinn tells her that Saxon isn't answering his phone and seems to have moved out. And it's yeah, this is the murder suspect. Everyone kind of knows at this point. Deborah arrives home to find it cleaned by Hannah, who is cooking dinner. She's obviously like a real neat Nancy, whatever you fucking call it. Organized something. And obviously she probably doesn't want to eat her dinner because it might be fucking poisoned. And that's kind of a funny part, honestly, that they talk about and bond over in a weird way. Clayton stops by Dexter's apartment and tells him the Hannah threat seems to have died down, so they're going to pull off the protective detail. They realize, Hannah hasn't been sighted anywhere, she hasn't been heard from anyone, and they assume she made a run for it, which she didn't. So Dexter and them kind of were successful at laying her low for a little bit, and now he's not going to be watched 24/7. And he asks, there's a tense moment where he asks Harrison who that girl is on his picture, and it's supposed to be Hannah, but he says his mom. And Rita, it was a blonde, so that's kind of a funny little coincidence the show throws in there. So L.A. confronts Deborah after he learns that Dexter used to date Hannah. It's like, are you doing this for personal reasons? Did you bring this to me for personal reasons? I don't know. I don't want this to get in the way of our professional setting, And he's kind of getting pissed at her. They're starting to have a shaky relationship. Like, if you don't give a shit, get the fuck out type of thing. And this kind of gives her a segue to join Miami Metro, which I think she will do. Dexter stops by Evelyn's house before she leaves for the cafe. But he drugs her with Hannah's potions. And, yeah, so he can meet Saxon instead. So they don't, bond too much. Because he wants to kill Saxon. As he stands outside the cafe, Dexter watches Saxon through a window as he repeatedly plays the song Make Your Own kind of music, obviously recreating his atmosphere as a child. And obviously he sees Dexter because he's one of the smarter villains, I guess, and he dips. So Dexter rushes to Evelyn's house and bangs on her door until she opens it. She gets kind of mad a little bit that he drugged her for good reason, and yeah, they have a talk. Dexter feels caught between two worlds, his humanity and his darkness. He can't imagine a life without Hannah in either one. He realizes he needs to get the fuck out of here. He's causing way too many problems than he should. So while Evelyn and Dexter were having the conversation, it's revealed that Saxton was actually inside the house the whole time, listening to the conversation between his mother and Dexter. He wanted proof that his mother didn't send Dexter to kill him, and he seems satisfied. Evelyn invites her son to stay for breakfast, and that creates a whole different dynamic. Evelyn will probably end up turning on Dexter in the end. And the thing I was thinking when the show ended, was this like this the whole time? Did Vogel know that Saxon was her son and that he's a serial killer? Did she make him into a serial killer like she did with Dexter? There's so many cool questions and so many things that the show's hopefully going to answer in the last 3 episodes. I think the finale is setting up to be a pretty good